So our last episode, we talked about
Our last episode was our last episode. That was
Well,
it.
that's
We
true.
weren't supposed to come back.
That's true.
Here we are. It's 2026 today.
But now we're looking forward, to the new season, the new year, and
Yeah.
kind of a fun idea of talk about how things have changed over.
Yeah. So instead of
Years.
looking forward, we're still gonna look back to the
Yeah,
past of
exactly.
2025 and prior.
Yeah.
So that's a fun idea. Instead of maybe at the end we'll talk a little bit about like kind of some looking forward stuff. But I think it'd be fun to kind of jump back into disc dog history, at least our history,
right?
And maybe what we've seen a little bit. I mean, I've seen videos, not that I was there, but I've seen videos, I've heard stories. I know a lot of the people that have been playing longer than us that are still around. They're like the pillars of our sport. So we've, you get to know some of these people over the years that you've been playing. Mm-hmm. And when did you start?
Competing 2005.
Yeah.
Before
just to remind everybody.
Yeah. And then you were
I started competing in 2006. Okay. So I was right behind you. You were playing a little longer, but you didn't do competition scene. Like you were just playing in the yard.
I started playing at the park, in the yard, all that kind of stuff in 98. And then, but if you think about it, 7 years I was playing. Yeah. I didn't even know competitions existed.
So you could already kind of throw when you showed up. Not me.
I did. And when I showed up, I mean, this is a pretty good story. Our fearless leader, whether he's the president, voted in as the president or whatever from one year to another, but Benny Wong is the heart and soul of disc dogs in Southern California. And the first competition I ever went to, I was in a novice division, of course, and our events used to be huge, especially this one.
Well, we had a Wags for Wishes event, which was kind of like it was a charity event for Make-A-Wish Foundation, but then they also had the other sports there. So they had
agility.
They had agility, fly ball, dock diving. They even had like herding,
instinct tests.
It was just instinct tests. It wasn't actually trials.
Lure.
They did have the lure coursing. And they may have had some other stuff going on. I don't even know. They had so much stuff, but it was like just doggy extravaganza. Yes. Like it was really the coolest event. I miss it. But yeah, that was my first competition in 2006. But you were there in 2005, right?
It must have been 5. And I show up and I'm in the novice division, of course. And I think there were somewhere around 70 in novice.
Yeah, there used to be a ton because I think people from other sports, and we were right next to flyball.
All of the flyball people came over.
A lot of the flyball people would play. So like the entries were huge.
And we were actually agility because Jen was doing agility. I think it was AKC if I remember correctly. And then I would just go over and then run the dogs in disc and then go back and
that was part of like the really fun part about this event is you could kind of like hop from like different sport to different sport. It was really cool. Like we tried dock diving and herding and the lure coursing all in the same weekend. Right. So Sketch had a blast.
To talk about how things have changed, this is already a perfect example because I don't know these huge festival kind of things that we're really having.
I see less of them.
Nothing like that. I mean,
I know of.
If you weren't around for it, you can't even really imagine what it was like. It was crazy.
They may have. There might be a couple now, like more back east, but not
with everything. Yeah. And then it was.
I think there's a couple events that
big
have
qualifiers,
everything, but not that many
and things like that.
So tell us about your novice event with Benny.
I walk into it in my novice division and I go out there and I do my round and I have no idea if it's good or bad or anything. I'm not even thinking about that. And Benny walks onto the field when my round ends and he over the microphone, over the speakers, he said, "All right, you are no longer in novice. You throw better than me." And I had been throwing for a while already up to that point.
And Sydney caught pretty well too. That also helped.
Of course, he had KD. So
well, KD was a great catcher too, and like just tailed back on the freaking. I remember just her toss and fetch was killer. That was like part of what won Benny so many of the California State Championships was KD, man, her toss and fetch. And I remember even when she was like 13 years old, I think she still qualified or she may have won. Yes. I don't remember the exact result.
AWI toss and fetch she won 1 year.
Did she win?
Way older.
She was like 13 and she won the AWI toss and fetch. It
and
was
the money,
like, wow.
Whatever.
I think it was cash and catch then too. So yeah, no, that was cool.
That was really awesome.
That was one of those moments that like I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like I hope my dog's playing when he's 13.
And everyone's giving him huge congrats and everything. Well, it was just so cool. KD was just such a great.
And she looked great. She definitely didn't look for 13. That's for sure. She was really she was rocking. But
yeah, so that was kind of like my start into it.
Yeah, my start was I was Wags for Wishes the next year, and they had a kids division. Well, the kids division was the first of the day, so I didn't get to see anybody go. And I was first in the order. So I was the first of the first of the first to go all day. And like, while it was kind of cool, I didn't have to like wait around my turn. It would have been nice to see like anybody do a round, like, so I knew what I was in for, because I had never been to a competition. I had never seen it. So it was just kind of funny because I mean, I survived. Sketch was great. And then like, I think the first round score was not very good because I don't know, I probably didn't even know what I was doing. And I couldn't really throw that well. I could probably only throw past the 10-yard line. Of course, Sketch, like if it was in the air, he'd catch it. But second round, we were really good. So apparently I figured it out second round.
So I think we'll probably jump around a little bit.
Yeah, this could be a little bit of random. Yeah, it might be some story time, some
different things, just about things that have changed. And I think if you've been a player for 15, 20, 30 years, a lot of the things we mentioned I think are going to resonate with you. Maybe you didn't even think about it and realize,
or geez. Maybe you have your own story.
Sure.
And even if you haven't been playing that long and something like you notice something, I don't know, I'd love to hear it in the comments, especially from people that have been playing a long time and what changes you see in the sport. Because I mean, the sport has gone worldwide now, and so I mean, people in different areas are going to see different things and different changes. And I think that's one thing that I think you notice a lot when like you go to a finals event or something where there's a big accumulation of people from different areas, is you see a lot of different styles, because people are usually learning from people that are local to their area first. So that's kind of the things they start out with. And then you get like whoever's the top person in that region is probably teaching the other people in that region. So they learn from them, they influence them. Even if they're not teaching them, they're copying them.
Yep. I mean, we see that. I mean, honestly, with the newer people coming up in our club over the years.
It's really funny because like if you watch, so like if you watch the people that sort of came after us, which is like Brad, Denny with Maya, he's like a lot of his styles. There's a lot of similarities in like some of the California teams. You see Paul, who's up and coming. He's got a lot of those same things where it's a lot of variety in the throws, not a lot of like super long throws. I think a lot of the SoCal players are a little bit tighter in game. Like Jamie and Tuesday, they're also, kind of the same type of, you could see the SoCal influence on how they play.
It's funny because I remember Ellie, she had told me probably within her first 3-4 years of competing, she said, I already know what I'm doing. She said, I'm a hybrid between you and Kirby. That's what she told me.
Yeah, and you know what's so funny is I still see it in how she plays now.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think she doesn't play as much like a lot of the people in central U.S., which is where she lives now. Not trying to dox anybody, but anyway, it's on Facebook. So if you want to look up, we didn't say last name, but anyway, so her style is, it's still very Southern California. There's a lot of California influence you can see in some of the tricks that she
does. Keep it up,
so
Ellie.
And she's a great thrower, which of course she had talent right off the bat, but then she practiced and really made a lot of her throwing skill for sure.
Well, here's a great little story with her. She started in the sport by coming to my class, and it's just amazing how we all meet each other. And in this particular case, it's just kind of crazy that if these things didn't fall into place just as they did, she wouldn't be involved with it for sure. I mean, almost.
Well, that's
guaranteed.
Like me. Like it was just my little past dog Lucky's birthday. He was turned 25 in 2025, and he passed away when he's 14. But little Shih Tzu, and like I showed up to PetSmart, and they had an agility class, and I begged to try it, and like we tried it, and he chased the treat in my hand and did it. If he hadn't done it or he had ran off, like, maybe I wouldn't have been like interested in dog sports, but he followed the treat. And so I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. My little Shih Tzu's like going through the tunnel and stuff. Like, this is great. But that like sparked the interest. If he had no interest, maybe I wouldn't have gotten a border collie. Maybe I probably wouldn't be sitting here.
So Ellie
sorry, not to interrupt,
no problem. But... So I was teaching a class in Yorba Linda, and it was really not that close to where Ellie is. I mean, it's probably a 45-minute drive for her, but there was a pet bird store, a bird store basically, and it may have been like one of the premier ones in Southern California, and she would go out to that store for her birds. And she was talking to, I don't know if it's the owner or if she just worked there, but it was our former instructor Tony's wife, and started talking to her, and she said, oh, you have a border collie, you want to try something? just right over here, they're doing a class. And at that point in time, I'd already taken over the class. And so she's called in and said, hey, can I join the class? I said, absolutely. And she showed up. And so that's how she got started into the sport, from a friend, kind of a friend of a friend of an instructor, and, you know, whatever.
Yeah, just word of mouth.
And she comes out, and I saw her the very first day. And I've never said this about anybody else, and I'm not slighting anybody else that I've worked with or whatever. But when she came in, and she had never thrown a Frisbee before, I think. I mean, if she did, I don't think she did. Or if she did, she wasn't
really
trying.
playing. She wasn't really playing like disc golf, like anything intensively, no ultimate. Or
she didn't know anything about Frisbee dogging. And she comes into the class, and I'm watching this, and I just show her a couple things, and I just showed it to her, and she just did it. And I went and talked to her mom, because at the time I want to say that Ellie was like 13, maybe, something like that.
She's young.
And I went to her mom off to the side. I said, Ellie's mom? Tina. I don't know if I knew her name at the time, but I said,
Mrs. Ellie's mom?
Yeah. I said, your daughter can be a world champion. And I have genuinely never, ever, ever said that about anybody else ever. And, well, I was right about it. But I saw it. I'd never seen talent like that before.
Yeah, she the first time I saw her, I mean, she was just killer.
I told you about
I know her. I think you like sent me a message that night. You're like, there was this little girl that came to my class, and she was amazing. And it was. You were so excited. You're like, and there was a competition coming up.
The next day,
you're like, you have to meet her. She's gonna go.
So it was the next day. It was Krusty Classic.
Was it the next day?
Because it was Friday was the class, and Saturday was Krusty Classic. And she said, I want to go, I want to go. So they went the next day, didn't even know the competition.
I didn't realize it was that close in time.
It was the next day. Because her mom said, do you want to go? She said, yes, I want to go, I want to go. And so I told you, I'm like, you got to meet her and become friends and like get to know each other.
Because I was young too. I think at the time I was
17. I think
I think I was 16 or 17. Yeah.
Because you just left the class. You just won with Torch. That was in September. You just won, like, what was that, like a week or so?
I left before you were teaching.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think I left the prior year. I left 16.
Ellie was one of my first students. Ellie was one of my first students. Oh, yeah. No, so you were at least 17. You were at least 17 then.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, what I'm saying is I left the class before, like the year prior.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was traveling too much because I was running around doing the quad.
Right.
And I kept having to miss class because the class was Friday.
And because this was after you won with Torch, that's how I know you were at least 17. And that was just like a week before.
I was 17.
Week or two.
So, yeah.
Anyways, that was a little rambly thing on there, but that was a
No, but that's just like an example of like how this sport grows and like how it's so, like what's amazing to me is like seeing people, that started out like just kind of casual coming to class. I have a story. I'll have a story to match yours, and then I think we should go a little bit more into just the sport, like in general. So one of my students was Paul Selstad, and so he came to class. It was him and Devin, his wife, now wife. They were just boyfriend girlfriend back then, and they came with Kaya, who was maybe a year old, and she's a cattle dog with a sliver of border collie in there. Yeah, he started like 2018. I think I got Sora shortly after they started the class. And so Kaya already right away was really good at catching. Paul was naturally pretty darn good at throwing. And of course, like, just distant stuff. I mean, 40 yards was like nothing for him. So it was like, oh gosh, wow. And then his dog Kaya catches everything. So I'm like, wow, you've kind of got, the pieces here to put together, make this a lot of fun. And, it was cool because he was trying all kinds of tricks right away. Like he just loved to do, like his signature one with Kaya was to do he'll do the dish spin on spinning one disc on another while Kaya sits on his back and then he tosses it off from the back stall. So that was one that, I'm going to take credit for it. Good. Don't let Paul take credit. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I told him to try it because I was like, I have this crazy idea for a move. And she was so good about staying on his back. Like a lot of dogs try to cheat and go early. So it's really hard to get a dog to stay up there if you're going to toss it off. And so I'm like, you should try this because you're pretty good at that throw. And she's pretty good at staying. I think this might work. And so it's kind of become his signature move with her, which has been cool. And then, of course, now he got another dog, Ranger, who's Torch's nephew and dog, Link's brother. And just funny because that's a whole nother story for another day. I'll have to tell that when he's actually on an episode, which By the way, folks, we haven't not had a guest on purpose. We've actually had some. We've invited some people, and things just didn't quite align on the timing. We had intention. The problem is trying to get somebody for an hour to an hour and a half at an event. It's hard to do.
Yep.
So that's been the challenge. But we definitely are hoping this year to at least have a handful of guests on, hopefully. So
we're gonna work on it.
We're gonna try it. Some of these episodes, it's like, oh gosh, we got to film pod's coming up. We better film something.
And you know what? If you have an idea, let us know, because if you could help us with it some kind of way, that'd be great.
Yeah. No, we'd love to have people, and I think we'd love to have people of all eras, right? Like not just somebody who's experienced, like somebody maybe who's new, that what you see from your side, or even questions. I think another good one would be like question and answer too.
Sure, and even your specialty, if it's toss and fetch, or if it's freestyle or distance or games, like
all of it.
We love all of it.
Anything disc dogging. So yeah.
So you were just talking about freestyle, and the thing that's been in my mind about what has changed is when I started there, it seemed like there were so many players that were like human freestylers.
Yeah.
Or came from that, or maybe they used to do it or something like that. And like nail delays. When's the last time you saw a nail delay? I know that Adrian does those occasionally, but I don't know if he does them anymore.
I've seen him do some, but not always in competition. Sometimes he'll do them and it's posted for a video, but maybe it's not in the competition routine.
So I used to see nail delays all the time. I mean, I remember Chris Sexton. He was a huge influence on me in just no specific tricks, because I didn't want to take a trick from somebody necessarily, just stylistically, like, let's do some really difficult things with the disc. And that's what he did. It was all difficulty.
Oh yeah. It was all about difficulty. Every throw, everything. It was like one trick after another.
One after another. And that's how, like, especially how I was originally, I really was just trick. And
his whole routine was like
that. Right. Yeah. And I just remember him doing a nail delay, and then he put it under his leg and pop it out to the disc, or a nail delay. I think he did a back roll with it, maybe.
I think he did a vault. I remember seeing maybe a leg vault.
All different
ways. He had a variety, and I feel he came up with new routines each year. So each year was totally different, a new song, and completely different tricks. It was even kind of crazy. So if you've watched one Chris Sexton routine, make sure to watch some different years, because he changes the routine every year. Right. So you'll get a whole different routine.
It even felt from one event to the next, I'd be like, I swear I didn't see that. But he packed so much stuff in there.
Sometimes it's hard to remember and dissect.
If you look away for a second, you're going to miss something, So that type of thing. And of course, he's not the only player that was like that.
No, but he's one that comes to mind.
Right, because he kind of...
Lawrence Frederick did a lot of that stuff, but he came from that world too.
And Lawrence was originally a human freestyler. Ron Watson did a lot of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, there were just a lot, and we're kind of mentioning people that are still involved in the sport, but there were there was
a lot of people that aren't in the sport anymore that still did all that stuff.
And I don't remember.
And some that maybe we haven't even seen that they could have, I mean, we may not even know them because they were gone before we were even involved.
I would hear, I think someone said, oh yeah, last year someone came to this event and they were a human freestyler. They never even played with a dog. They borrowed someone's dog there. They won the event. It was like an FDDO event. And they won it, and they never saw them again. And everyone was all mad because this guy comes in and won it. It just shows you that being a great thrower and disc handler, you can win events with it.
Yeah, it certainly helps. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, so that's one thing that I don't see as much of is the people who are just trying to go crazy with the disc. You see people doing little videos and clips, and okay, that's great and fun. I'm talking about competition.
I don't see a lot of attempts in competition.
Right. And so that's
But what's interesting is like, so a couple things. Well, one, like social media was not so prominent back when we started. I mean, there was a little bit. I mean, I think I signed up for Facebook in like 2009 after like people telling me, oh, there's disc doggers on there. I had to get off of MySpace and get onto Facebook. So there was no disc dogging going on MySpace apparently. So, but I think that there was the only opportunity to show that you could do that or attempt it was to do it in a competition. Whereas now you can just mess around in the park or in your yard and just, try to get like a clip of it of you hitting it one time. And then you can share, look, I did it, which is cool. I mean, I'm all for, I don't mind people sharing it on social media. I think that's great. But I think because you can do that, you don't see people attempting it in competition because now they have some other outlet to show those skills.
And there's
without the risk. Without the risk, because in competition they might not hit it.
They might not hit it. That's what I was thinking.
So,
and the other thing I wanted to throw in there is that, I guess related to exactly what I was saying about the human freestylers, that sport has, largely gone away.
That was my other thought too. Yeah, that was going to be what I was going to say. Is it has? I think it's dwindled quite a bit.
Most of the great freestylers, most of them, are the ones that were doing it 30, 40 years ago.
Yes, and I don't see a lot of new and upcoming.
Nope. When do you see an 8-year-old kid or a 10-year-old kid?
I think it's
doing
more rare.
But you see him playing with the dog. So now we get more dog people doing the sport, whereas before, a lot of disc people doing the sport.
Well, look at Peter.
Yep.
He was a disc guy
Perfect
first, right?
example.
I think there was a lot of disc people that were like, oh, well, let me get a dog. Well, I can do the dog thing.
Because back then, 70s, 80s especially, they all did all the disc stuff. They all did disc golf. They all did freestyle. They did double disc court. They did accuracy. Anything involving a disc they wanted to do. And then we could do it with a dog too.
Well, and that almost added more excitement to it, especially to some of these people that were doing it for a living, because I think a lot of those guys were doing halftime shows. They were doing performances.
And who's doing that now?
It's the dog people. It's the dog people. But the difference is back then those people were disc people adding a dog in, whereas now it's a lot of dog trainers.
Yep.
Really. And then they're learning to throw.
They have to learn to throw, whereas the other ones would come in already knowing how to throw, and they'd be great immediately, like Peter. He comes in, first competition, wins it, qualifies for the World Championships, wins the World Championships, retires.
It was right away. Yeah.
2 competitions, wins them
both.
And
that's not everybody, but I think there was more of that
there was a lot
on,
of it.
Right? Whereas now you see a lot more dog trainers. And it's kind of funny. I noticed it seems like, and granted I wasn't, around in the 80s and 90s. And, but I feel like back then there were a lot more men coming to the sport, whereas now I feel like it's almost all women. It's rare to see a young male player. There's many more women, I feel like. And it seems like.
I think part of that is because of the dog thing. Because if you look at agility, it's not over 90% women. And I don't even know the number, but it's, if you've ever been to agility events, I've been to bazillions of them, it's all women basically, which is great. And that's part of the reason why.
And I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but maybe it's just kind of something to think about. But there are a lot of men's sports out there that are really good for men to play in, and men can play really aggressively. And women's sports in general, without dogs, are not as popular.
Mm-hmm.
There's not, most women are not striving to be in a big sports team. Unless they're really good. If they're Caitlin Clark, then maybe it's a little different. But I think that a lot more men are into sports because it's popular for men. Men's sports are just more popular than women for the most part. Yeah, not everything, but for the most part.
Other than ice skating and gymnastics, those are all women dominated by far.
But what I'm saying is that I think because men can go play football, not that women can't, but
do you want to?
No, I don't want to, especially after what that dickhead Jason Kelsey said about Frisbee dogs, and F him. But anyway, so.
I don't even want to hear about it. Keep going.
Well,
keep going.
I'll tell you after the pod. That's a different
That
thing.
makes me mad.
Anyway,
so I don't want to do that. Let's be happy. Let's be happy.
Anyway, that's my dig. No, and if you know, you know. So anyway, you'll have to look on Facebook. There's some people posting about it. It's pretty funny. So anyway, I'm just thinking that women may gravitate more to the dog thing because I think it's just, I don't know, it's more fun. I don't want to go play football, to be honest. I'd rather go play with a dog. Maybe I'm just a dog person.
I think most women come into it. I don't know if
that has anything to do with it.
There's the number one thing that they all struggle with, virtually, I'm not going to say all women, but
a lot of women is the strength and
the throwing the disc.
Yes. Yeah.
Because men in general, we're playing. I play baseball, basketball, football, hockey.
But you look at the women that have gotten good. There's a lot of women, and there were a lot of women early on, but more and more over the years that have kind of carved the way. And it's okay, a lot of women are throwing 40 plus yards now. They're hitting the zones.
How many played basketball before, or football?
I can't say I did.
Or
played
baseball
soccer.
Or something, or softball. It's going to be
and I'm not saying women don't play sports.
Of course. We all know it's much less.
I just think it's less. I just think it's less. And so I think the dog thing is like a good opportunity to be active and have fun. And plus, it's just better than regular non-dog sports anyway.
It totally is. 100%. So do you have another one? I have a whole bunch of ideas.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
You can throw out any ideas you want. We're just going to jump around.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I'm like torn. I kind of want to keep it on freestyle because we've been talking about freestyle, but I guess we did talk about toss and fetch.
I'm going to throw something out new if you don't.
Yeah, if I don't come up with something fast, then Jeff's going to beat me to it. Okay. So I was thinking that the toss and fetch world has kind of exploded because I think if you look back at old scores, even 15, 20 years ago, the toss and fetch scores are a lot different. And I think there's a few reasons for that.
Yeah.
I think the throwers have gotten better, and I think the dog training has gotten better.
Yep.
When you started, wasn't the 5 throw in 1 minute like this elusive, like...
You didn't even talk about it. It
was rare.
You didn't even talk about it because it was like the unattainable
Yeah, but so
thing.
Like the 5 dogs that did that were the ones winning.
They were the ones winning.
It was the Maggies. It was the KDs. Like
Maggie and Maggie.
Yeah, that's true. But EY was more our time. I'm talking Matt Diano, Maggie. She was the first one.
I'm saying both.
EY was more our Maggie was a little early. Matt's Maggie was a little earlier, but I get what you're saying. She's part of it though.
Todd with Bella.
And that was when, like, I felt like when Todd and Bella, that era came along, that was like 2008, 2009. Merlin. But Merlin was also a little bit after.
Yeah, I know.
Just a touch. But he also had Brooke, too, which was right before that. So in that era, though, I felt like that 2007 to 2011 time period really changed stuff in the toss and fetch.
Yes, but most people weren't trying to do it. They weren't bothering with it. They didn't know how to train it or anything like that. But as we're talking about, more dog trainers came into the sport. I think that made a huge difference. I became a dog trainer. You became a dog trainer. And that allowed us to push for that 5-throw dog.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think that happened until late, like a little bit later.
Yeah.
You know,
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I don't think that was going on in 2004.
No, absolutely not.
And there were dog trainers, and I'm sure some of them did get that,
but it
not
wasn't
to the extent that it is now. I mean, a lot of dogs are getting 5 throws in 1 minute.
And now I'm trying to push 6 with all of my dogs. That's
right.
If I don't get 6 now, it don't count.
Even Bon.
Yeah, and Bon sometimes gets 6 now. Not if I'm
5,
throwing 40s.
Yeah. But Cheeky's small, and she was getting
she got
5 long and a short one. So yeah,
it's happening, and it has a lot to do with.
There's a lot of dogs that have broken that 6 throw barrier. And when we say 6 throw, we're talking about 5 throws at the 40 yard, and then they're either getting a 10 or 20 yarder in addition to that. Right.
And make sure you know that I hear so many people say, "Oh, I could do that." And it just irks me because you're not doing it.
It's a lot harder.
Don't just say you can do it. Go out there and do it again and again and again, and have that consistency before you start saying I can do that, because it just belittles all the people who are doing it and the dogs that are capable of doing it. But you could just put them down like, oh, I could do that. It kind of bugs me a little bit. So just have the mentality to think you can get to where you could do that, but don't tell everyone.
Well, I'm starting to see that more dogs than I thought can get to that, because I was thinking to get 6, you're needing like whippet speed, and the dog's got to have a perfect handoff. But I think that's not so much the case now.
Right.
I mean, you do have to have a perfect handoff, but I don't think that. I mean, Sora was getting 6, or able to anyway. I was too wimpy to like do it consistently, because I really want to hear the 15-second timer. Most competitions didn't have this 15-second timer, so I wussed out a lot. But she could do it. Yeah. And then I see like Zen doing it, who's an Aussie. Right. I see Cheeky doing it, who's a micro dog. Aussie. Yeah, Cheeky's a micro dog.
I mean, that's crazy.
Right. That is crazy.
And Bon, again, this isn't the 40-yard version, but to get 6 30-yard throws or 5 30-yard throws in a 20, that's very
really
impressive
good for a little dog.
A dog that's tiny.
For sure.
This was my biggest thing for toss and fetch for sure, is this one issue. And anyone who's been around 100% will say I think this is bigger than any other changes in the sport.
Okay.
Scoring wise, I mean, we're getting effectively almost double the scores that we were 20 years ago, especially 20 years ago. There were not people putting up 25-point rounds.
So even if you just look at this year's Skyhounds, or 2025 Skyhounds, if you look at just the toss and fetch column in the open overall versus like 10 years ago, there were so many like 20s, like 19 and a half, 20,
Yep.
21. Like in that range, there was a ton of 20s.
Right.
And back then it was like the guy that got 21, probably. Like maybe, I mean, I think Danny Venegas maybe threw like a 25 and a half early on.
Bob Evans did it.
I'm sure there was like a few that did it, but it was few and far between.
I mean, just think about this past weekend at our competition, I had 2 25.5-point rounds. Were they on the same day or different days?
Yeah. It was the same day.
So just think about that. In one competition, I had 2 with different dogs, right? Or was it? Yeah, different. I can't even remember.
It doesn't matter. You had 225.
225
that
in the same day.
That's unheard of, though. Like that's. But I think people are doing that now a lot. Like that's happening.
And I know I saw this happening. It just hit me one day where I was like, you know what? If you start putting up scores over 20 points, you're probably going to win.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that nobody had ever gotten a 27.5 at Skyhounds until I did it with Muse. And that was 2015.
2015. That's the first time at 27.5.
Skyhounds started in 2001, right?
Yep.
Okay.
15 years.
It took 15 years for somebody to throw 27.5.
And
that's 5 in the 5.5 zone.
I want to say it was something like the next year Tracy did 2 rounds
in a row. Tracy did like 2 in a row.
I mean, I remember.
Yeah, she nailed it. And then I think her other round was really high up there. She has the record, right?
Yes, for the 3 rounds. For the 3 rounds. And then the year
I was pretty close with Sora. I had 2 27.5s and I think a 21.5.
But with Muse, that year with Muse, Mark Muir with I can't remember which dog, I'm sorry, because he had quite a few he was playing with at that time. He had 2 27s. And he started out with something like a 12-point round. So he was almost out of it. And then he had a 27. And in the final round, he had a 27 again.
And that was huge.
He may have been 3rd place. I can't remember, but 2 27s. I think
he might have been.
I mean, that was impressive.
Way close.
I've had a number of 27.5s with in microdog division and in
the
open.
Crazy thing is, prior to 2015, we went 15 years.
Yeah.
No 27.5. How did that happen? That's crazy to me.
And of course, we're talking about the Skyhound scoring, just so we're clear.
To me, I feel like Skyhound scoring is well, it's consistent because there was no rule changes. The problem with it, you can't really compare AWI and UFO because there's been rule changes. UFO took out the jumping, AWI took out the jumping, and then adjusted the points. So it's really hard to compare. That's part of why we're comparing Skyhounds is because there hasn't been any rule changes to the toss and fetch. So
and UFO the very first year, it was way different. It's like the distance and everything was different.
So they've changed it over the years. So it's really hard to compare.
But to give you an idea, I've had a 21 on the same day. I had a 21 with Zen and UFO and a 20.
And that was after the jumping points were removed.
And that's with no jumping points. So that's 6 throws both rounds. The one round I hit 5 zones and then a 15-meter throw, and then the other one I don't remember. I think I missed the zone on one of them or something like that. But I also had 6 throws with her, and so that was just in one competition. When were you ever seeing a 20?
That didn't happen.
Never
when
happened.
I went to Europe in 2024, there was a guy getting 6 throws and 6 long ones at UFO, and it was ridiculous. He was so good. I just was like, wow. And the dog was Sora size or smaller, it was Border Collie.
And I saw a picture of him, and he put his finger on the rim when he threw. And if you happen to be watching, I'd love for you to send us a message or something. Say, yep, that was me.
Yeah.
But I saw a photo. It was a photo of him in the middle of his throw, and his finger was on the rim. And I was like, was that for real or an accident?
Okay, so you didn't get to see his round, because I watched this, because I asked Isfan, I'm like, because his first round I didn't see it. I'm like, and it was like a 21 or something. I'm like, does he get 6 throws? I'm like, he has to, because he can't get 21 without getting 6 throws. And I'm like, Isfan, am I crazy here? He's like, oh no, he gets 6 throws every time. He's been smoking everybody at all the competitions. And I'm like, oh, okay, I want to watch this. And man, he was running down the field and coming back like almost as fast as the dog, dude. He was working just as hard as that dog, and he was getting her to run, and it paid off because I mean, he was getting 6 throws, and she's a good catcher, and he was throwing really good. I mean, for all that running he did and to still throw that well, I'm like, dang, buddy, you deserve the first place, because that was absolutely incredible. Right. But Yeah, I wish I would have filmed it for you because it was really something to watch. He was working his tail off just like the dog.
That's awesome.
But yeah, but it just shows like I think 6 throws when we started 20 years ago, that would have been unfathomable. We wouldn't have. We would have been like, no, that's not even real. Like that can't be possible.
Even back then, like we were saying, like even just talking about the 5 throws, you weren't even really thinking about it.
It was really well, I was thinking about it because I was like, I saw some of the dogs that got it, and I'm like, they're doing really well. I think that's the key to doing well here is to get the additional throw, of course. But yeah, it was like a struggle. Like, and I feel like there wasn't as much training as there is now. I mean, now there's like probably 25 people that have an online course that you can take, including mine, which, by the way, if you want to teach handoffs and stuff,
shameless self-promotion.
I stole all of Jeff's training and I put it into an online course just for you. So if you want to go to flyingcanines.com and check it out, there you go.
And it's something I
got to find the podcast. If you guys listened to the last one, you heard how much we make. I mean, we're really rolling in the dough over here.
So I'm going to surprise you with this one. Since we're talking about your classes, something I was thinking about bringing up to you is maybe what we could do is a new course, and it would be all based on my throwing ideas. And
so it's all about you.
It's about my throwing ideas.
Me.
It's all for the public, though. I think it would be something that could be very good. Another course. I have a whole lot of ideas, and if you want to throw like me, I think I can teach you how.
Okay. All right. I might take you up on that. When I'm done editing all the podcasts and uploading them and stuff, maybe we'll find some time to do that. No, but that would be really cool.
So, so something I was thinking of, I'm just going to jump to another kind of event. The games. We have so many games now.
Oh, that's exploded.
It's crazy. And people love them. And I love them from the beginning. Dude. There was no disc dogathon when we started. No. And now...
It was basically FDDO was the games organization. And that was it.
That was it. And they came up with the ideas, and it stayed that way for a long time. And then kind of as they... FDDO kind of went away a little bit.
And FDDO, a lot of the games were very throwing based. It wasn't a whole lot of dog training.
No.
There wasn't a speed game.
There's no timing.
There wasn't any timing. It was like, could you throw it through the hoop? Could you throw it around the poles?
Skip.
Could you do the skip plate and like catch it in the box? It was very much about, they may have had like the speed disc game, but they introduced that later. That was later on.
Right.
But or at least the events that I went to.
Obstacle course was like
it was more obstacle course, more throwing based, not so much dog training skill based.
And that goes right back to that it was all about the
what we were saying about the throwing.
And you can see how it's all tied together. Now, if you think about the disc dogathon, if you think about the up dog games, the vast majority of those aren't based on being a great thrower.
No, I mean, look at time trial. And yes, you could argue
a few yards.
Like, time trial, you can argue, okay, sure, you've got to be accurate on the throw, because if you throw it too far, yeah, you're probably not going to get that great of a score. But most of the people playing can throw 20 yards.
Yep.
So it's, we've seen people that were maybe like considered lower level in freestyle, but they'll win time trial because they can throw right to that 20-yard line. And if their dog brings it back, fast and hands it off, like, you could win time trial.
Our director is not a real disc player, and she won the time trial world championship because that's right where
she's not a real disc player. She played freestyle. She's done pairs.
She's been on the podium in pairs finals.
He's talking about Jen, his wife, by the way, in case you didn't catch that.
So to give you an idea of the difference between games then and games now, you had mentioned it, but in FDDO, there was a skip plate that you had to do. There was like a piece of wood out there that was maybe like 5 feet by 5 feet just to help you. A lot of people didn't even use it. You had to skip it and have the dog catch it in a circle. Now compare that to doing a time trial. In terms of the human portion of it, it's not even remotely close, right?
No, oh God, it was so hard to use that stupid skip.
It was very difficult, but it just gives you an idea if you haven't done the FDDO or are familiar, because it hasn't really been around for a while.
Yeah.
But it was a great event, and you had to be a great thrower. You couldn't just go through there and come out in your first event. If your first event at FDDO,
it was tough.
You ended up in last place. That's what I did.
Whereas, like, you could go do bullseye or like some of the up-dog games, like 4-way play. Yep. I mean, my mom could probably do 4-way play.
Yeah.
She only has to. Of course, she could probably throw better than she could run.
And if you watch 4-way play, a lot of the throws are
really
2
short.
feet. I mean, they're this far.
They're even shorter than bullseye. I think it's the only thing with a shorter throw than bullseye.
So it just gives you an idea.
Some of those games.
Yeah. So that's a big difference, though. The games, a lot of games.
It's exploded. They're really, really popular.
Yeah. And I like them. I think they're great.
No, I think so too. It's a great addition to the sport, especially because I think there is a bit of a learning curve for toss and fetch and freestyle. So having the different games, and depending on your dog's strengths, your dog might be really good at a certain game. Whereas I think to get to that point in freestyle is a little bit of a larger learning curve.
It's it could almost be intimidating if you're showing up to an event and you're like, I really want to qualify. I've been playing for a year or so, and I want to try to go to the finals. And you show up to a Skyhounds or AWI Open qualifier. It's going to be tough to get in until you've got so much background, experience.
There's more learning curve for sure.
But in the games, you can show up, like you said,
we
people
have
come out and win them.
Novice people that come out in there, they're doing pretty good at some of those games.
Right.
They're just brand new.
Right.
Some of it's luck too, like friggin' spot landing. Yep. I mean, there's some throwing skill, but then there's that element of luck that, man, just some people happen to nail it. And some days I'm lucky and some days I'm not. But,
so what else you got?
I was kind of thinking about long distance.
I was thinking about it too.
Yeah, we got to mention long distance. I feel like it's interesting because I feel like there's more ways to play long distance now than ever, but in some ways I feel like it's dropped off. I think that there's a small group of people that are super passionate about long distance. But before, I think, and maybe this has to do with the games exploding, but I think almost everybody would play distance before. And I think now I see less numbers of people playing distance unless they think they've got a shot at going. So there's still some people that play just to play, but I think it was much bigger before. And maybe not. I don't know if it's just different generation or those people have moved to the games.
And I don't know. I mean,
it's hard to say. I haven't.
You and I
dissect the
you used to play a lot of distance, and I played a decent amount, but we virtually never do it now. I mean, it's very rare for us now.
I would be one of those in that group of super passionate people, except I'm injured. That's my biggest problem. I'd still be doing it if I wasn't injured.
But you also said that it messed with your toss and fetch.
Well, okay, that's true too. Okay, so that period of time too, Torch didn't like distance very much, and he was really good at freestyle, a good toss and fetch dog, and it would screw up my throw, and my throw had to be perfect for toss and fetch with him. Toss and fetch wasn't going to go well unless I threw perfect. So with Sora, I could get away with the throw not being exactly I have a little more leeway on how I can throw it, and she still will catch it. Whereas Torch, it just had to be there.
Yeah.
And at that point, Flash and Torch were older, Sketch and Flash were older, so I didn't really have another dog to do distance with. Torch didn't really like it so much. But yeah, so it wasn't because I didn't want to play distance so much. I guess it was really because of Torch. If I had Sora at that time, I would have been playing distance. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the reason I don't play now so much is because I'm injured.
So here's a question. Is it maybe the same number of people doing distance, but they're doing different things? Because the format, there are at least 3 major distance formats.
And maybe it looks smaller compared to the other stuff, right? It looks like there's less people doing it because there's so many freaking people doing the games.
If you compare, I think the one to compare is the quad. And the quad, when we started going to it, there were so many people. I mean, there was tons of people.
It was like the pillar events were like the CCC.
Oh yeah,
which was a UFO major, and the quad
in Florida.
Yep, and Florida was always a big one. Everybody loved that in February.
I mean, they were huge events. And you go out there, I don't remember the 20, 30 people in a division or what. I don't remember what they called them. It was massive. And now you go out there, I've seen some of them where there's 6 people.
Yeah, sometimes there's not even enough for all the hardware
to do all the, because I think they give out 4, right?
Yeah, it's top 4.
So, but then if you look at it now, So the quad is definitely smaller. I don't think there's any question about that. In terms of the number of people.
But some of that too is like
6,
they
7?
stopped having it for a little.
You
Stop
did
it with
it.
your 6, 7. Oh my God.
You did it.
Let me go get a second grader to help with the podcast. Yeah? Yeah, I could
bet you they'd have a sense of humor.
You know what? If they're going to talk about 6, 7, like.
But so you got like.
You guys, I need you to know. He has been 6, 7ing.
What? What like, is that?
Shut up. Oh my God.
I was going to say, now you got like 6, 7 events that you can do in distance, and before you had one.
Good God. Okay. It just never ends.
But compare
he
like.
He doesn't even know what 6, 7 means.
Compare. Yeah, it's how many events. Compare like up dog distance, which is 3 cumulative throws where you could also do a roller. Compare that to the quad. Or like extreme distance, they're just completely different. And the quad versus
they're
extreme
all really
distance,
different.
They got very different rules. Or the detour from UFO.
Right.
I mean, because
they're all really different.
They're all very different from one another. So I'm wondering if some people are really focusing more on one versus the other. Or
well,
maybe,
and the other thing is like, okay, so Skyhounds, the start for that, it's the fixed start for the extreme distance. Right. That's very different from the others that allow free start. Right. And you have to practice that. You really do.
And you know what I've noticed that's interesting is the people who do the
I already know what you're going to say.
Extreme distance, they will do the quad in that same format.
Yes, they will. I've seen it.
Which blows my mind.
Yes. And even like,
yes, so much more difficult.
Barb, like all of her dogs I know, it's very much similar to the strategy she uses for XD, which kind of makes sense. It's like, okay, if you've got it, and now maybe those people are not paying so close attention to the dog being behind the line, but it kind of makes sense to keep the same strategy. I mean, it's kind of like when I go from, the other toss and fetch events to USDDN, where we get most events it's 60 seconds. I go to USDDN, it's 90 seconds, your top 5. I don't change my strategy. I keep the timing the same. I don't change anything. I just view it as I'm going to get 2 mulligan throws and lucky me. And I don't change anything. So I can see where like you might train under the hardest rule set or the most like difficult to play under. Does that make sense? Or most complex rule set?
But then there's the other side of it, which is in Skyhounds and in the Detour, it's as many throws you get in 90 seconds.
No. Detour is just your 3
throws. No, that's right.
Skyhounds is the only one with the time.
It's the only one with the 90 seconds. And then Up Dog is 3 throws.
And all 3 count.
All 3 count.
Now, I don't know if they put a timer on you or not, but you get 3
Detour
throws.
is just your best throw. Very simple.
Well, you get 3 throws and it's your best one.
Yep. 3 out of 3. And then the
quad's more like a bracket situation.
But each of those rounds has 3 throws as well. So it's 3 throws. Most of them have the 3 throw thing, but then Skyhounds has the 90 seconds. And am I missing a distance?
Hero Cup.
The Hero Cup, that's right. I've never done that.
I've never done it either. We just haven't had one in our area. It's very similar to the quad.
It's brackety, like brackets going down to
it's very similar to the quad. I think they're
eliminations.
Yes.
And all that. So you think about, we got, what's that? That's 4 or 5, whatever it is. That's a lot.
So maybe they're just more spread out than they used to be, right? Because like before, it was really just the quad.
It really was.
And so now there's so many other events that people could go to, and I think it's hard to hit them all. And I think that's a big thing that we found, like those events that used to be like the pillar events of the year, like the Florida event, the CCC, Naperville. Before it was turned into the AWI World Finals, it was actually a UFO Major AWI qualifier.
And that was when Tom
it was Labor Day weekend.
Tom was part of the UFO at that point in time.
Yes, exactly.
Makes sense.
And so that was a huge event too. But I think there are so many events because Skyhounds has allowed. They used to only allow it by region. So like if you were in, I think it was like California, Arizona, Nevada, like you were one region, you could only have one qualifier within your region.
Yes.
And that was it. And so you were very limited on who qualifies and, what events. There was only going to be a handful of events every year. And then now that they've taken that limit off, Skyhounds has exploded. I mean, there's a Skyhounds qualifier every weekend. It's like AKC Agility. There's something every weekend somewhere. And then Updog emerged too, and their events are also uncapped. So they have a ton. So I think those two are probably the biggest ones that they kind of uncapped themselves, and now there is a disc dog event like every weekend somewhere.
Less need to travel.
less need to travel. So you didn't have to drive all the way
to Colorado for us, 16 hours, 18-hour drive.
Right. For some people, that was the only event they were going to go to.
We just held a long-distance event last weekend. I mean, and we never did distance events then.
Right. Well, we have a lot of interest in it now. Yep. Like a lot of players that are just playing right now really have interest. That's why we're having
then, you had to be approved by the quad, and the quad pretty much just had their cities that did it, and that was it. Well, now
they wanted to keep it a smaller series. They've uncapped it now, and now there's more people. There's more quads than ever. So that's all of these events.
Right, with Skyhounds and the others, pretty much if you want to hold one of the events, go for it. I mean, I don't know all the details about the Hero Cup and some of the other stuff, but I mean, most of them, if you want to hold a distance event, you can just do it. Or any of the others.
And it's everything. Like, that doesn't even just go for the distance. That's everything. So
we held a distance and classic Skyhounds on the same day.
Yeah, because we were trying to get that in,
And we did. We got it all in.
We did. We made it work. Yeah. But yeah, people wanted to play. It was like, okay, well, we only have so many days of the field that we can use, and people want to get their qualifying spots. I mean, we did it, and it was a nice, cool day, so that actually worked perfect.
So, going back to our core in this sport, you and me especially, what we love, what we care about is freestyle. We care about all of it, but we love freestyle so much. Yeah. What else have you seen in freestyle that's changed?
I think it's really interesting. I mean, we talked in the beginning about kind of the difference in the human skill and how it seemed like it started out with human freestylers, and now it's more dog trainers that are coming in. Their dogs are trained well, and they're learning to throw. And so I think that is a big piece of like what you see in the freestyle, and that I see more things that are related to the dog training, like the flow of the disc, the flow of the routine, the dogs handing the discs back as like a trick in the routine. It's like a retrieval trick. It's not, that before was, I think, not as important or, not focused on. Whereas now those in it of itself can be a move, the way the dog hands it back to you, or, these different types of moves, like with the dogs rolling off of you, and they're doing a lot of different creative tricks. Maybe they're I don't know, sitting pretty while you're throwing different throws to them. Not that wasn't done back in the day, but I just see more things like that, more advanced tricks coming out now that maybe you didn't see those types of tricks back then. I feel like back in the day you were seeing there was some training to it, but maybe it's like the handler throws 3 and the dog catches 1, or, I don't know. Maybe it's a variation of a vault, but it's more on the throw than the dog's movement.
So what I saw a lot back then was a lot of one and done kind of things. They just have one disc in their hand, they get their dog all set up, and you're waiting for something to happen, and then they do one big trick, whatever it might be, vault, dog catch, whatever. Setup. And then it was just one throw, then they pick up one more disc, and then, it was a lot of one little thing, get the dog real ready, do it, instead of doing more of like a sequence with a boom, 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 boom. Again,
yeah, I agree.
Not that it wasn't done, but not like it is now.
We're talking general trends,
of course.
Right? So, no, I totally agree. I mean, I think flow, and like that's kind of what I meant when I said flow, is like instead of just setting up and doing one big move and then, kind of setting up into another big move, and now it's boom, 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 really, truly a sequence. I think that's a huge change. And what I see now is there's, a lot of the moves have already been done. I mean, virtually everything has been done. And if it hasn't, a lot of it's because it's just too hard to hit in a competition in, windy conditions, rainy conditions, anything you might face at a competition. So I feel like a lot of those things, okay, we see the same tricks. And now where the creativity comes in is how are those tricks put together? How is the sequence put together? And the uniqueness comes from the way you linked one trick to another rather than just the trick itself.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I could think of the nail delay type of thing. That's like a one and done kind of thing. Another one, it just hit me that I know that was done in the past, is a bicycle kick. And I don't know
yes, I remember that.
Who has ever even seen? Can anyone do that now? Has anyone done that now?
Oh, I haven't seen that in years.
The bicycle kick in soccer, where they jump and they effectively do a 180 in the air and kick the ball. You can do that with a disc. Same exact concept.
And some people would start it from the ground, like they're not jumping like crazy. But
a proper way, I guess you could say, or the classic way would be to do the jump and flip over and kick the disc. and that's really kind of a one and done kind of thing. You can maybe do that at the end of your sequence, but really,
it's hard to get that in flow.
You probably don't need anything else.
Well, hey, here's something too, is because maybe there's less human freestyle people coming in. Maybe
it's all
you
related.
Don't see it as much because
absolutely that's
like a lot of the dog trainers coming in, their ability is more in flow because they've trained their dog to drop it where they need it to drop and do all these tricks one quick after another. Whereas before, maybe the dogs didn't drop as quick, so they could, they had time for this, or they focused on those things. They did a big setup for it.
They had the physical ability to do it. That's a big thing. I mean,
that's true.
I mean, to be able to do that, that's
we're all
crazy.
on our phones too much now instead of at the park throwing.
I worked on training that just a tiny bit, and I was like, you know what, I could spend the whole year or two working on this thing and nothing else, and maybe still not get it.
Yeah,
it wasn't worth it.
I did the foot throw instead, where I held the disc between my feet and tossed it.
Okay, who was it? Was it Darren did the toe throw?
I think it was Tom Clements.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Tom Clements.
But
Darren did something. Darren did some crazy stuff too. I mean, if you guys want to see some wild throws, Darren, look up Darren Barris
in a kilt.
Yes, he was always in pink.
This dog chick shirt.
But man, I miss when he used to do freestyle. He still does distance.
Yeah, he's so cool.
So he's a really cool guy.
He's a fun guy.
He's one to watch. Like his freestyle, he hasn't done it in a while. I wish he would do it.
My last little story will be something he told me. Made me feel great. It was maybe about 10 years ago or something like that. He came up to me. He said, "Jeff, when you're out there doing toss and fetch," he said, "it looks like a machine doing it." He said, "Every single time you look exactly the same. Every single time your throw looks exactly the same." He said it's a thing of beauty. And it was amazing because I'd always complimented him on his distance throws. If you watch his form on distance, he's a great distance thrower, great freestyle, great toss and fetch. He can do it all. But my favorite thing is his distance throwing. And that's the thing he's still doing a lot of.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe his favorite if he's still doing a lot of it. But man, his form, if you want to know how to throw distance and have proper form, watch his throws. They are amazing. But he gave me that compliment, made me feel really good that, like the same thing I saw on him in distance, he sees in me in toss and fetch. That was pretty cool.
Well, that's nice. That's a nice story.
And he's a good guy. Every time I see him,
he's cool.
I usually only see him once every other year, maybe. I don't know. It's not too much anymore, it seems.
Yeah, he usually does distance, I think. So yeah, and you're not usually doing distance. You're usually on the disc.
But I'll go over there to see him. If I know he's there, I'm going to run over and see him and any of my other distance friends that I don't get to see a lot. But it's tough when you're competing. You can't be everywhere at once.
Yeah.
Especially when the fields are way far away from each other and stuff.
So I'm trying to think if there's any other like differences in freestyle I know like that I can think of. That was kind of the main. Those were kind of the main things that I had. I do think I see, a lot more smaller dogs. I think more. I think maybe less breed variety. Oh, I got another one that I think has changed a lot. And that is the ways people are getting their dogs, which I think we could go into a whole episode on picking dogs and, how we got our dogs and all of that. But I think probably 10, 15 years ago, there were a lot more random, like shelter dog. When I say random, I mean like somebody picked them up off the street. They're a shelter dog. They're, they came from the neighbor or whatever, or, a lot of rescue dogs, a lot of shelter dogs. And I feel like now it's majority dogs from breeder lines or like, purposefully bred.
Yeah, a lot of, do they call them the designer dogs or something like that, where they're trying to put together some kind of great mix?
Yeah, I think they call designer dog more like a doodle, like more for purpose of selling. I don't think they call like Border Whippet really a designer dog. I think they call that more like a sport mix because it's it's not really intended for the sale. It's more intended to get like a superstar sport dog.
And I don't know a lot about that stuff because I've only had Aussies and mini Aussies, which are just Aussies.
Well, and I've had kind of like a total mix of like, I've had shelter dogs. I've had dogs from parents that were world champions or, herding champions or whatever. And then I've had dogs that their parents didn't play Frisbee. Like just all this mishmash mix of different dogs.
Yeah,
Rescue dogs.
I think most of mine came from either herding or agility.
Spirit came straight from the shelter. Like, he wasn't supposed to be a Frisbee dog, and then he became
Volt?
one. Yeah, Volt came straight from the shelter too. He's actually a pretty good Frisbee dog. So, I mean, yeah. I feel like that now there's more people. I don't know if they're intentionally, maybe they're already in the sport and they're looking for another dog to continue on doing the sport. So they want to get a dog that they think is likely to keep playing. I don't know if that's it, or if it's, I don't know, maybe dog sports are just getting more popular and people are looking for dogs to do dog sports with. And that's like the route of least resistance, or, you know, seems like the most likely. Because I think nowadays, like, you know, you could get a shelter dog. Maybe they don't play, which could have been the case 10 years ago, but I don't know. I think now maybe people are more looking for dogs to play the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I feel like
there
used to be more rescue dogs, or like kind of like random mixed breed, not purpose bred mixed breed.
I mean, a lot of people are getting these mixes because they want faster dogs, because Border Collies and Aussies are fast, but they're not whippet fast. And you see a lot of that getting mixed in to try to get both for the like extreme distance type of thing, where you have to have a really fast dog, and for toss and fetch to be able to get those extra throws.
Well, I think for freestyle too, people are trying to get a, like, near guaranteed jumping dog. They want, like, you know, more likely that it's going to be a jumping dog. And if you get a Border Collie, chances are the dog probably isn't going to jump that high. And even the highest jumping Border Collies are usually not the highest jumping dogs.
And then you know what I usually do? I'm like, is the dog cute? Like, that's number one.
That's really what I do. I'm kind of like, oh, it gave me the look.
Is this dog sweet?
Yeah. That'll have to be for another episode that we talk about how we get our dogs.
And then we just wonder how are they going to turn out. And
I'm like, please, you know, I hope you do well. I hope you like this.
Yeah, just play.
Yeah, it'd be nice if you play. But, I mean,
you know.
You never know. Usually I get dogs that I don't think are going to play, and then they end up playing because they're like, oh, everybody in the house is playing. I want to play too. But
so I think we wrapped up. I mean, a lot of the changes. We
touched on a lot of different things.
And I'd be curious if anyone else had any other ideas about things that you've seen change, or maybe one day what we need to do is have a podcast talk about the future of what we think is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because if we did this maybe 15 years ago or something like that, I think we'd be talking about some of these things. We think this is going to happen, and now we're here and it's happening.
Yeah, that would be really fun. Then we can look back on it. So,
right.
Well, you know, if you're still hanging with us, then give us some comments. What do what changes have you noticed in the sport, and what changes do you think are going to happen? Because we'll talk about that. I think that's another episode on our radar. So
this has been
the Disc Dog Pod.
Thank you so much. Love your dogs.
2026. We still can't get that. We're never going to get it. Bye.